With more than 6,000 small and micro-cap companies listed, if you're looking for the next Apple at the earliest stage, then channelchek truly is the orchard. The listed companies support channelchek, so it's free for you, the potential investor, to gain access to institutional quality research from FINRA licensed analysts, advanced market data, industry reports, news, and a growing catalog of videos and webcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for channelchek so you're always up to date on what's going on at the small and microcap data place. Welcome to the Virtual Roadshow series presented by channelchek. This roadshow features Grant Johnson, Chairman and CEO of Esports Entertainment Group, NASDAQ ticker symbol GMBL. Following a formal presentation, I joined Grant for a Q&A session featuring questions that were submitted by the live audience, as well as a few from Michael Kupinski, Noble Senior Research Analyst for Noble Capital Markets, a FINRA-licensed SEC-registered broker-dealer. You can find Michael's research on Esports Entertainment Group on channelchek.com or by clicking the link in the description. With that, I'm pleased to present Grant Johnson.
Thank you. As mentioned, Grant Johnson. I'm the CEO and Chairman of Esports Entertainment Group. Our symbol GMBL on the NASDAQ stands for Gamble. Thanks for joining us today. Just some safe harbor language. I don't need to waste too much time on that. I'm sure that we'd like to get into the presentation. A bit of the company background. Effectively, we have a number of things. We went live on NASDAQ last April. We're coming up on our first 1-year anniversary. We went effective right during COVID, and when the markets crashed, it was a fairly difficult time. But what is important is we did get through the process, and we were the first iGaming company to list on the NASDAQ, even ahead of some giants like DraftKings. I started my journey in the esports industry back in 2014 when I attended my first StarCraft championship, and at that point in time, I had been operating under the misconception that esports was the domain of teenagers. And I learned very quickly that in fact was inaccurate. I attended the event, and there was 5,000 20-something-year-olds all very engaged in the event. And I wanted to be part of this industry, this growing, huge burgeoning industry. I've been involved in the online gambling business since back in 1995, 96. So I've been around for a while. Having said that, a number of things happened since the close or since our IPO. We closed the transaction with Argyle Entertainment that brought us Sport Nation and brought us 2 European licenses in Ireland and in the UK. Then we closed our transaction with Esports Gaming League. This is the platform you've seen a lot of recent announcements, most recently last week with the Denver Broncos, where we're running tournaments, video game tournaments for the fans of those pro teams. Earlier this month, we closed a transaction with Lucky Dino. This is a 10-year-old casino platform, European casino app, more focused on the Nordic regions, but does about 30 million in revenues, 5 million in EBITDA. So this is a very important component for our financial health. And we have entered into a definitive agreement with GG Circuit Helix, and we expect that transaction to close next month. So for those of you who aren't familiar with esports, although I suspect most people probably are now, it's effectively competitive video game play. It's a spectator event where organized events take place where professional players play for a prize, a monetary prize. Globally, there's, depending how you want to break it down, globally, there's 500 million avid esports fans. These are under the traditional titles, Dota, League of Legends, Counter-Strike. But if we expand out to the larger video game audience, the numbers get substantially bigger, 2.5 billion, to some estimates of 3.5 billion. This is an audience that's digitally native, it's affluent, it's educated, household disposable household income of 75K. And if you look at the age, I think a lot of people will be surprised that 85% of the market is over 18, and the largest section of the market is 25 to 34-year-olds. This is relevant for gambling, for tournament play over 18 when you're playing for monetary prizes. So basically 85% of that market is addressable by our company. So we're the way we're pulling together all the various assets is we're building a machine to better monetize every gamer and traditional bettors, and how we can offer a wide array of products for them. So how we grow, we have a number of different strategies. Clearly, M&A has been a big part of our strategy, where we're acquiring large pools of customers. On the gamer side, EGL, GG Circuit, Helix, these are specifically gamer sites, and then traditional bettors, Sport Nation, Lucky Dino. These are traditional bettors. What we've learned about traditional bettors, they will bet on certain video game titles. The ones that they're more familiar with are Track Better, FIFA, NBA 2K, but there is some good cross-marketing opportunity there. Then we get into where we're talking about what I was just referring to in the synergizing, where we're taking traditional gamers and turning them into esport bettors, offering them up through our ViGG and Vi.bet platform, an opportunity to bet on esports, and coming later this spring, our LandDuel product, which is an esport player versus player skill-based betting platform. And then we're taking traditional bettors and sportsbook and casino and introducing esports to them, because what we've learned in this process that everybody's a gamer, whether you're a traditional athlete, whether you like casino games, you have an Xbox, a PlayStation, a computer at home, and chances are you play certain video games. And then of course, as we integrate these various different pieces, that's when we find we get a lot of synergies. When sportsbook and casino go hand in hand, we are experiencing rather dramatic growth in cross-marketing to our own player bases. And by combining this entire model of casino, sportsbook, and esports, we are launching all three of those into our marketing efforts into the Latin American markets currently. And it's having an accelerated growth effect. How do we acquire our customers? Largely at this point in time, it's been through M&A. On the gaming side, we acquired EGL. EGL is a 10-year-old tournament platform, good pedigree, has dealt with premiership teams, the India Cricket League, Red Bull, 350,000 people use that platform. GG Circuit is the infrastructure that runs a lot of what you would know: Vindex, GameWorks, Simplicity, Allied, Amuka, Helix. They all run off the GG Circuit software, and they have 2 million fans that use that software. LandDuel, this is the player versus player product. We'll be launching just after Memorial Day in the state of New Jersey. This product is a betting product. It's not a gambling product. And we expect once we launch and we're comfortable, we will be rolling that out aggressively through the other LAN centers that we work with, and the pro teams and GG Circuit, etc. Vi.GG, this will be the first licensed esports gambling site launched in the United States, to the best of our knowledge. It will go live in the state of New Jersey. We had hoped it was going to be April, but when dealing with regulators, of course, you deal at the speed that they want to move at. We anticipate late May, early June. The Helix Centers, this is a new exciting component of our offering. Helix operates two of the largest LAN centers in North Bergen in New Jersey, and at Patriot Place in Boston. These are 10,000, 14,000 square foot facilities that esports fans can come and watch esports. They play esports. They can have a beer, play with their friends in tournaments. On the traditional bettor side, we have Lucky Dino, which is a 10-year-old operator, had double-digit year-over-year growth, 30 million in revenues. Focused mainly on the Nordic regions, which is a huge esports region. So we are cross-marketing our esports products into that region. Sport Nation is a UK-based sportsbook. Holds a license in Ireland and in the UK. We have moved Sport Nation onto our Malta license, which gives them a lot of extra jurisdictional footprint, and SportNation.bet is now launched in tandem with Vi.bet into the Latin American markets, and Red Zone is part of the Argyle transaction. This is again, there's a lot of virtual betting. FIFA 2K takes place on that site. So with the way we approach it is play, watch, bet. So depending on, when regardless of how we acquire a customer, we want to make sure that we have a product that keeps the customers engaged on our platform, whether it's casino, sportsbook, walking into an esports center, engaging in a tournament, a fan of the Broncos or the Eagles or the Patriots who joins in one of our tournaments. However they come to us, we want to make sure once they come into our universe, we hold them in our universe and make sure that we monetize them properly by giving them lots of options of tournament play, betting, sports betting, casino, live centers. So we have a broad spectrum array of products to make sure that our clients don't have to leave any of our sites. So how do we create shareholder value? Well, we turn gamers into bettors, whether it's on esports, sports, casino, traditional bettors, which would be iGaming, which is casino or sportsbook, and we turn those into esports bettors. Again, we've learned that it doesn't matter what somebody's main area of interest is. Most people around the globe, as stats would indicate, half the people on the planet play some sort of video games. So how we promote it and educate people, it's through live shows that we're running, live streams, articles that we produce, newsletters that we produce, and we've been pushing out through linked and social media, social video centers and social gatherings, the Helix Centers, contests like we're forming with, again, the league, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL. Our first tournament launches with LA Kings next week, in fact. So we want to make sure we give the best opportunity to generate the maximum revenue from each of our clients by giving them the products they want. So back to the play, watch, bet. This is our strategy, and here's how we go about implementing it. Excuse me. So under the play side, the league play, these would be the names that you're familiar with in the esports: Cloud9, Liquid, Fnatic, Thieves, etc. The big pro teams playing in the big tournaments, and Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, FIFA, 2K. These fans can bet on our Vi site. Internationally, they can bet Vi.bet, and in the United States, we're starting with Vi.gg. That'll be launching in New Jersey. Tournament play, EGL. This is the Esport Gaming League, again, 10-year-old tournament platform that we've upgraded and brought into the American market, the North American market, and we've been partnering very aggressively with the pro teams and their fan bases. The smallest fan base of the teams we partner with has over 4 million fans, and the largest fan base has over 25 million fans. They'll be our marketing partners to that platform. And then, of course, the Helix Centers. This is the live and in person. This we expect to have explosive growth in post-COVID as people return to normal, whatever normal is. These centers are currently operating at about 50% capacity. We expect to be up to 100% by June, and we have aggressive plans to expand the Helix footprint across the United States. And then, of course, GG Circuit being the software that drives not just the Helix Centers, but roughly 1,000 other land-based operations, not just in the States and Canada, but also over in Europe. The watch content, this is really where you hold the players' attention. It's a combination of content that we generate ourselves for the tournaments, content that's broadcast through the Vi site, EGL, of course, being these big tournaments we're running. We have Vi Esports, which is a content site, and the GG Circuit network has tremendous capabilities. We have additional content assets and talent that we're always onboarding and acquiring and expanding that capability. And we do a lot of partnerships with other operators to accelerate that growth and retention of the customer base. Gambling. This is our core business, what we started with, we have the EGG bet component. We have event betting through our Vi platform. We have sports betting through our Sport Nation, player versus player betting, and this is through our LandDuel product. Again, this will be launching around just after Memorial Day. Casino style betting, which is on our Lucky Dino. Fantasy betting, which is going to be added also to our ViGG site. So this is our in-house gambling software. We own it. We control our platforms. We have a code name for it. It's Phoenix. And it is going to underlie all of our sites, ViGG, Lucky Dino, LandDuel, and of course, Sport Nation will be running off this platform later this year. So data. Every player that comes to us, irrespective of which site, we gather that player information. Genji Analytics is specifically focused on, how often do people come on, what games do they play, how frequently, how do they react when they play. This helps us do a couple of things. When we're marketing a product, we have a target market. We can, if somebody is a Madden player, if they're a Super Smash, Call of Duty player, we can market them that there's a tournament coming up that they may want to join. It also helps us with our ViGG platform. It helps us get a little more knowledge and analytics on the specific betting line. So when we're running our sports book, we have a huge way to aggregate information from GG Circuit and Genji, which helps us offer more lines and tighter lines. Again, as mentioned, just with our own sites, if we take an aggregate of all the players, right now we have roughly 2.5 million people that have played on our communal sites. Now, because we've consolidated all these various components, we have a very integrated offering that opens up 2 new B2B opportunities for us, 2 new B2B verticals. One of these is in the traditional sports teams. You've seen that we've been signing a large number. We've signed 7. First tournaments are launching next month. But because of the Helix acquisition, we also have the largest working example of how successful an esport venue can be when attached to a traditional sporting venue. So we're a natural partner for these teams, that they can start with the online tournament. They can work with us to build their center, and when they're ready, we can offer a betting product with the LandDuel product, which is a skill betting platform, not a gambling platform. Now, because of those same assets, we're a natural partner for casinos. Casinos, land-based casinos, are all discussing how can they add esports, how can they integrate it into their physical plant to not just bring the players, the fans, the millennials and Gen X, Gen Y fan base into their casinos. They can get them in to watch an event. They want to figure out how to keep them. Now, we can do that. We can help them with EGL and Vi. We can aggregate them online. With Helix and GG Circuit, we have the infrastructure and know-how how to make the physical array in the casino. And then, of course, with the LandDuel product, we now have an esport betting product specifically that will keep the players interested at the terminals in the casinos. The Vi product will enhance their esports betting lines. So we're natural partners. We are in discussion with several casinos. We expect this will be a big vertical for us as we move forward. Financials. Currently, we've given guidance in fiscal 21 of 18 million. This is just taking into account the assets we have already acquired. We are on track to hit this. We may even exceed this number. Those are very conservative numbers. And for fiscal 22, that just contemplates a full year of Helix being in Helix GG Circuit, Lucky Dino, Sport Nation, EGL, a full year of operation. Those numbers do not contemplate any revenues currently from the esports tournaments or any of these pro teams, which we do believe will be substantial. We'll adjust these guidance figures after we have a quarter under our belt. And LandDuel product is also not contemplated in there, and nor as any other M&A work. So those are just guidance based on the assets that we currently have. Compared to, if we look at a revenue multiple, we're still trading well below comparables in our space. The average, trades 15 times, but that's taking some rather large ones. Medium is still over 11 times. We trade in around we kind of oscillate between 3 and 4. I think there's been guidance out there. There's 4 analyst reports that range between 20 to 30 would be a more appropriate share price. All we can do on our end is to continue to execute on our business model, which we will continue to do, and the price will be the price. So in summary, we have the most unique vertically integrated offering for the gamer audience and the traditional casino bettor. There's nobody else that has that whole play, watch, bet configuration. Our strategy, again, it's designed to magnify every customer we acquire, has multiple opportunities and touch points with our company, ways to multiply the revenue, the monetization of each of those customers. Our current stock price, albeit we're enjoying a green day today, which is always good to see, is still significantly undervalued relative to our peers. So you as investors, there is some certainly opportunity on the upside here. Who's on our team? Well, the reason that my face looks like that is I've been in this business, and I got in the business in 1995 in the online gambling business. I was head of biz dev for one of the early movers in the B2B business. So from 95 to 99, I launched 23 operators online. Dan Marks has 18 years as a financial expert. For our purposes, more importantly, he's got 6 years working as a CFO specifically in the gambling business. He's based out of our New York area. Our chief legal officer, Stuart Tilley, his involvement in the online gambling business goes back to 2005. He is the founder of Argyle and was also the founder of Flip Sports. So a lot of expertise specifically from a legal standpoint, but also as an operator in the gambling space. So that's kind of unique, actually, as an attorney. John Brackens, he is our CTO, CIO. He was head of network operations for Blizzard Activision, which is one of the biggest publishers in the world. And for the last 8 years, he has headed up infrastructure and gambling operations with Spark Jumpers Game Studios, and now he is very involved and works out of our Malta office. Magnus Lepiniemi, actually, we got to upgrade his title. He's the president of Esports. He's been in the space since 1996, and Magnus previously was with DreamHack. In fact, Magnus spearheaded DreamHack's move into the North American market. Jeff Cohn, who's our VP of Strategy and Investor Relations. Jeff was previously an analyst at Stevens Bank. And an interesting story, I reached out to Jeff because we were talking. He was looking at doing some coverage on us. I let him know I was looking for somebody to head up this department for us, and he threw his hat in the ring. Jeff is from Harvard and has an MBA from Columbia, and has been my right-hand man when talking to investors. So for contact, the person you would reach out to would be Jeff at Esports Entertainment Group. My email is my name with the same handle. I am prepared and happy to answer any questions you may have.
So, Grant, I'm going to start off with a pretty direct question from the audience. Any future capital raises planned?
Well, yeah, we do have, currently today, we have about 19 million cash in hand. We have about a 600,000 burn rate. We don't need to. However, we have signed a definitive agreement with GG Helix. We expect they will finish their audit sometime mid to late April, at which point in time we will be concluding that transaction. So it's likely we will need to raise a little bit of capital in the market. We don't have a high demand on that one because most of that transaction is going to take place with equity. Future acquisitions that we do will focuses on, they'd be accretive. We do have an active registration statement, as mentioned. We have about 70 million left in that. When the opportunity presents itself to raise under reasonable conditions or favorable conditions, we will do so. of course, yes.
I think that's a good segue to the next question we received. What advantages does Esports Entertainment Group have over other US-based esports companies? And do you have any game changers in the pipeline?
Well, yes and yes. In terms of advantages, just the broad array of the technology. If you look at a lot of the US-based esports companies, a lot of names that you know, a lot of names that are listed, with the GG Circuit transaction, we will control the infrastructure of a lot of those companies, the platforms they run off of. With the array of having both the online with EGL and our partnerships with these pro teams, nobody else has ever done that. So that's unique. Having the ability to tie in physical gaming centers with the pro facilities, we have the only one that's ever been done with Helix. So that also is unique. When we launched LandDuel in New Jersey, we have been having those conversations in tandem with the Department of Gaming Enforcement, which is unique because the other esports skill betting sites that are out there have not gone through the process. So we're being a little cautious, over compliant. One thing I've learned in all my years in this business is you can never do too much to make the regulators happy, and you certainly don't want to be in the other side of the equation where you haven't done enough and the regulators are unhappy. When we launch our ViGG platform, again, as it pertains to the US, that'll be in New Jersey. To the best of our knowledge, that'll be the first esports-centric gambling platform launched in the United States. So there's a lot of differences between us and a lot of what we feel are game changers that, as compared to others. Most other companies in our space are focused on either content, tournament play, team ownership, maybe gambling. If they are gambling, they're usually run off of a tier 2 or tier 3 license, Alderney, Gibraltar, Isle of Man, Curacao. I don't believe I've come across another esports gambling company that has the tier 1 licenses. So we are unique.
Yeah, it seems like you're working with a multifaceted approach, which gives you a lot of plays in the space.
Think of us as a diversified portfolio in our esport offering. So as COVID, hit, our online activity exploded in a positive way. It did obviously ratchet down what happened with our physical operations. Some of the EGL tournaments in Europe, the Red Bull tournament was put off for a year, for example, and Helix Centers, obviously they were closed. When we get back to normal, and that means different things to different people, but we have products that we expect to have explosive growth in. On the Helix Centers, GG Circuit, the EGL for the land-based tournaments. We expect explosive growth on that side as well. So we were positioned well for COVID, and we are positioned well for post-COVID.
Absolutely. And you touched on this a bit in your presentation. When do you expect in-person tournament play to resume 100%? And do you see there being any possibilities of that being delayed by what they're calling a fourth wave of the pandemic?
I guess never say never. Certainly, we will deal with it as best we can. We don't have any magic power that anybody else isn't dealing with. I can tell you the belief is widely believed that by June, all the Helix centers in the United States will be at full capacity. With our partnerships with the pro teams, they're being a little more conservative, and they're looking for live tournaments to take place at their venues more in the fall, September, October. So that's how we're approaching it there. For the European operations, because EGL does a lot of, for the last 10 years, has done a lot of in-person tournaments for big pro, Arsenal, Red Bull, Indian Cricket League. We expect those tournaments to be back in the fall. That's, that will adjust accordingly as we need to. But if there's a delay in person, we'll just keep expanding our footprint online.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, in-person sports, they're pretty much fully in play right now, but not with full audiences, and a lot of people have been, viewing online, watching video games online. It kind of ties these two together. Given there's a huge increase in video game play, do you anticipate that interest will abate as traditional sports, especially with full fan bases and outside activities, resume?
Well, as everybody here has seen, we've been putting out announcements recently with the teams. The reason for that is clearly, my answer to your question is no, we don't see it dropping off. We do see that there is definitely, we'll call it a nexus point. We're at that point right now. I don't know if you saw the Broncos announcement, but what we've learned during this time is that the pro athletes are also gamers. We do know that the fans of the pro teams have Xboxes, PlayStations, computers, smartphones, and they too are gamers. So gaming, just like pro sports, is entertainment. If you look at who were the first adopters of the franchise system in North America, it was Mark Cuban, Jerry Jones, Harris Blitzer, the Kraft family. It was the big sports organizations that were the early movers. NBA, Steph Curry, KD. These are big investors in esports. So it's not going away. It's the next wave, and the smart money, the pro sports teams money, has been piling tens of millions of dollars into it. The tournaments that we see, and this is why we're talking about building gaming centers at the venues, is the venues are active 8 home games plus playoff. Gaming center 365 keeps the fan engaged and tied in with the team all year round, not just online, but in person at these centers. So we see that as a huge growth for us. Absolutely. The fan bases of each of these teams, which titles they play. Now, Madden, all the teams in the NFL, they want to start with Madden. The teams that we're talking to in the NHL and Major League Soccer, respectively, want to start with FIFA or the NHL game. But we can tell the teams of their fans which titles, and sometimes it's not the one you would think. It's not in the case of the NFL franchises, more of their fans play Call of Duty or Super Smash, we've learned. So we plan to run different tournaments. They won't all be Madden tournaments.
Sure. Can you discuss your marketing plans in greater detail? Interested on how you get targeted eyeballs on your site versus your competition.
Sure. Well, the biggest, when you're talking online casino, we use the same strategies, tried and true. We work with affiliates. We do, branded sponsorship, etc. In the States, our strategy has been substantially differentiated from all of our competitors. As you've seen, these sports teams, they're our marketing partners, effectively. If you look at a team like the Eagles, one of the founding members of the NFL, they have a generational fan base, and that's not unique to the Eagles. That's kind of a standard in the NFL, which is probably the dominant, well, definitely is the dominant sports league in North America. The Eagles have a 20-year waiting list to get season tickets, which is the #1 prize for the tournament. So if you look at the Eagle fan base, 7.1 million, of that, roughly 160,000 of whom are Madden fans. If you're a Madden player and you're a fan of the Eagles, and you can wait 20 years to get your season tickets, or you can enter one of the tournaments. So they'll be marketing our platform to their fans. This is more marketing. This is a unique, different type of marketing. These are trusted relationships. And this is also why the pro teams have partnered with us, because we're NASDAQ. With the EGL platform, we've got 10 years of expertise working with teams like Arsenal, the Cricket League, Red Bull, billion-dollar brands. So they have felt comfortable, and they've told us the reason they're reaching out to us is they are comfortable with it. Plus, they like the fact that we can bring them the tournament and we can bring them the gaming center. We've got expertise on both sides. So our marketing plan is to work with the groups that already have the market and give them the product that their fans want. So it's really kind of a very warm marketing. It's not cold call. We're not cold marketing. We don't need to do additional marketing at this point in time. These pro teams are super affiliates, effectively.
Absolutely. And that takes us into another question we received from the audience is to discuss even further your stadium specific marketing strategy. You touched on it a bit there with the Eagles, but to your point, like as things return to normal and more fans are in the stadiums, can you elaborate a little bit more on that stadium specific strategy?
Sure. Well, with these tournaments, and the tournament will culminate around a major event, whether it's season opener, whether it's the Super Bowl or playoffs. It could be, I believe, the Broncos' first tournament, I think, is going to culminate around opening day. With the teams, it starts online, but they want the final event to take place at the stadium. In the case of Denver, it'd be at Mile High, and I think that was broadcast actually in the video. That's exactly what they want. They want the fans down on probably either on the pitch itself or adjacent to it, where the fans who are at the final event will be playing on the field in front of the fans on the Jumbotron pre-game. That's what the desire of the teams. That's for the tournament platform. So that's that marketing strategy, and that's how it will culminate in the live venues. Step two will be to implement a strategy as we have with Craft Sports, where we have a physical center attached to the venue, and that would run all year round. So that's our strategy.
Okay. It is expected that wagering on esports will follow the traditional sports model. But traditional sports have large platforms. They've created superstars, super fans. Do you think there needs to be a quote unquote Tiger Woods of esports to drive greater interest in esports wagering? And do you think that person already exists?
Well, there are some pretty high profile people. The name that probably everybody here would know would be Ninja. Fortnite, he has millions and millions of followers. It makes 7, probably 8 figures a year playing esports. So those people do exist. Really, where we think the big opportunity in esports gambling it's going to be a huge market. We believe in time it will rival the sports betting market. The approach that we've taken, which obviously we've taken it because we believe this will be, the proper approach. We are going to offer with our VIGG product the traditional betting, where you're betting a guest house, you're betting in pools, you're betting fantasy. That's there. What's different and the way we're approaching unique in the esports that's different from the pro sports. I mean, you and me, we can't go down to the field. We're going to play football against each other and bet $10 on it. That's not going to happen. In esports, you can do that. So that player versus player, the LANDuel product. So while we're doing everything we're doing on buy, which is very similar to what's taking place in traditional sports, and those big names are already out there, we are bringing the LANDuel product, which brings it down to the grassroots. This is me playing you. We're playing Madden. We're playing Valorant. We're playing Fortnite. Hell, we could be playing Mario Karts. We want to bet $10. We're betting $10. The winner takes the purse. The house takes a commission, like a poker room concept. And that is a product that's not a gambling product. It's a betting product. So we think that is going to be a big game changer in esports.
Absolutely. And in your opinion, how important is in-play wagering as a differentiator for other wagering platforms?
Oh, well, in-play, it's obviously been a huge comer in traditional sports. Are they going to get the field goal? Who's going to get the first down? Who's going to get the next goal? Same thing in esports. I would even say more so in esports because the fans are extremely interactive. So next kill, first kill, most kills, win the match. That type of, and single, $1, $2, $5 bets, little micro bets constantly throughout the course of the game. That is going to be an element of the GG VIGG platform, again launching in Jersey later this spring. We believe it'll be a huge component, and just as it's proven to be a huge component in traditional sports, we believe it'll be even more so in esports.
Absolutely. Here's an interesting one from the audience. Has Esports Entertainment Group considered blockchain betting?
We have talked to several. Yes, I guess is the short answer. We are constantly, and that's really on John Bracken's team. We've got Flip Sports is a team of 9 programmers who have focused for the last 6 years in building online gambling sites. New technology constantly is being offered. We're pursuing it. The Phoenix program integrates a lot of that new technology, but blockchain, clearly it's a huge industry. Cryptocurrencies all run off it, of course. And we are looking at it. How do we tie it in? You have to remember there's a lot of stakeholders when you get into gambling. The gaming commissions, the banks, cryptocurrencies clearly are globally widely accepted. It's a big industry. The regulators and the banks are not what you would call fans because of the anonymity that goes along with it. Blockchain betting, it's here to stay. Are we going to have some? Yes. Do we have it currently? Currently, we do not.
Okay, that's fair enough. You knew this was going to come up in the question, so let's get right to it. Would you consider a buyout from GameStop or DraftKings? And another question from another person, would you please partner with GameStop?
We absolutely believe we can give them a digital solution. I mean, they have a huge player base. They are blockbusters for video games, and we can bring them Netflix. So we welcome that opportunity. We know who they are. We have had conversations with them. None of those conversations have been about M&A. I would, not that we didn't have a fairly big rumor up there. So yes, we would absolutely explore opportunities with them. Would we entertain a buyout? It's a little premature. We're just getting started. We're not even 1 year out at this point in time, and clearly we've been on a rapid growth curve. I suspect it's what's true of all public companies is also true of us. You grow, and either you grow organically or through M&A, and at some point in time, you yourself become a target. So could that happen? Yes. Have we had any conversations on nothing serious to date? Would I consider it? I guess it always comes down to price.
Absolutely. And now the other side of that equation leads us into this question. Given your strategy of watch, play, bet, acquisitive track record that complements your existing business, what are you looking for in future acquisition opportunities?
Well, I'll break that into 2 separate pools. In the iGaming pool, sportsbook, casino pool, accretive acquisitions that bring us additional licenses and access to new markets. So, the revenues will enhance our financials, but also, the opportunity to open up new markets that we can then market esports into. On the esports side, because esports is obviously still fairly nascent, and there's not as many profitable companies on the esports side, it comes down to the strategic fit. Does it bring us something unique? We are looking into some fantasy products right now that we've been offered. Do we build it? Do we buy it? Some mobile applications, virtual reality opportunities that would enhance the user's experience in the Helix Centers or physical centers. So our esports strategy is both offensive and defensive. What does it give us that's unique, that accelerates our growth, and also digs that deeper moat around us that makes it difficult for those that would choose to emulate us, very difficult for them to. So those are how we're looking at those 2 different pools for M&A. Are we going to continue to do M&A? Yes.
And the Helix acquisition, how does the company plan to fund the acquisition, and is there an update on the closing date?
The closing date is going to be driven in large part by the completion of the audit. We believe that will take place in April. The transaction itself, the definitive agreement has already been signed. It's a 50-50 cash and equity transaction. We've already forwarded several $1 million to the group. We will probably need to raise a few million in the open market when the time's right. We have an active registration statement. It's no secret. It's filed. There's 70 million left in space. So when the conditions are right, we're not in a situation where we have to raise money today. We've got 19 million in the bank. We could fund our burn rate for 2 years with what we already have in hand. However, we will probably be in the market late April, maybe early May.
All right. There's another one from the audience. Any future strategic hires as you grow the business and expand your team?
Always. I get, through my linked contact, I get senior members of, in some cases, competitors that are asking if we're hiring. We have some new hires we'll be announcing next month. I think it's wise to always be on the lookout for quality staff, and any way we can enhance we'll call it our bench strength with these strategic hires. But we're always hiring. This time last year we had 11 staff members. We now have 122 staff members. At the conclusion of the Helix GG circuit, sometime in May, that number will jump by another 45, 50 people.
Sure. Your thoughts on the current float and shares outstanding?
I believe both in the maximum and in the benchmark analyst coverages out there, they contemplated the fully issued and outstanding, including the transaction with GG Circuit Helix, would take us to 24 million shares in total. Currently, we're sitting 20 and a half, but there's almost daily the W warrants, the tradable warrants, are being exercised. I do not believe there's any substantial pools of the B warrants, the 1-year warrants. They've all been exercised, which is why we're sitting on such a large pool of cash. But the tradable warrants continue to come in. But even contemplating those and the stock in the transaction for GG Helix takes us to a total potential issued outstanding of 24 million shares. It's fairly tight. It's clean. We don't have any debt. There's no convertible notes, no funkified death spiral financings in there. We run a pretty tight structure.
Sure. And while you're answering that, we had someone submit what would be a follow-up question. Your thoughts on why the stock is not trading higher?
Well, I constantly, that is a kind of a sea of question marks over my head. I think a lot of it just has to come to exposure. We were overwhelmingly and are overwhelmingly retail followed at this point in time. We have about 15,000 retail shareholders. We've been really putting a focus on bringing in more family offices, institutional investors. We've had quite a bit of success, but just this week there's 3 conferences. I'm taking a break from a conference to come onto this panel, and I'll be going back to that. I'm constantly surprised when somebody says, I'm just hearing your story now for the first time. It's a bit frustrating for me, but in reality, a lot of the institutional investors don't even start to look at you to your 100 million market cap. Some don't start to look at you doing at least 1 million shares a day in trading. And there's another benchmark which we're just oscillating around that they don't start to pay attention to your $20 share price. So as we continue to tick off, our execution, we are seeing that the stock is responding, but it's not for lack of effort and getting the message out, and we're tracking. I think anybody who's a shareholder of ours in November and is still a shareholder of ours is probably pretty pleased. Would I like to see it closer to mid-20s or between 20 and 30, which is what all the analyst coverage seems to be in at? Of course I would. We'll continue to I take interviews and go on panels and speak at conferences until we achieve that objective. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I had Jeff, recruited Jeff. Actually, he threw his hat in the ring. He was an analyst with Stevens Bank in the sector, and his mandate has been to bring in more institutional investors, and he's been doing a good job. We're up to I think at our IPO we had 3, and now we have a couple dozen. We'd like to have a couple hundred.
Yeah, I mean, getting your message out to the entire investment community is always the challenge, right?
It is.
You know,
It's an ongoing, right?
and getting notoriety helps, right? So, like, the company continues to sign a large number of traditional sports leagues. How should investors benchmark success from these agreements and to determine if these leagues stay in the company after the contracts expire?
Well, there's no question these pro teams, they have huge fan bases and they have a lot of following. I mean, these in the NFL, with one exception, they're all billionaires. And there's one cooperative group. They have huge media coverage. So we are definitely seeing enhanced engagement with these announcements. And we expect that to continue. To the second part of that question, how do we expect that relationship to continue past the contract? All these contracts are fairly long-term. We don't have any one-year agreements. The teams, we're not interested in 1 year. The teams aren't interested in 1 year. What we're looking to do is take the model that we have at Patriot Place and make that's our blueprint. That's what we would like to do through every major league team in North America. We want to have a permanent gaming center at that facility, in which case we have a relationship in perpetuity. Is that realistic that we'll have them all? Maybe it's not realistic. Is that what we're shooting for? Yep, that's what we're going for. That's our model right there. The blueprint's there. It works. We're the only company doing it. And as we continue to execute with these relationships and more of these announcements come out, I can assure you I'm talking to dozens of other across all the different leagues. There will definitely be more announcements of that type, and that will raise our awareness.
Absolutely. And another awareness builder, you touched on this a little bit in your presentation. A number of casinos are entering into online gambling, esports. Can you talk about the interest that you've seen from traditional casinos in your wagering platform or in the Helix platform, and discuss any specific casinos that have reached out regarding partnerships?
Yeah, I can't talk in specifics, of course. I can say that we have multiple conversations. And it's not that they're looking at a single piece of the puzzle. The reason they're reaching out to us is because we have the whole puzzle. We have the online strategy, and it's not, the online casino and sportsbook. I haven't had casinos reach out to me on that basis because there's a number of offerings that they can do in that space. And some of the casinos itself, Caesars and Golden Nugget and Bally's, have taken the initiative, and they have their own platforms for the casino and sportsbook. It's the esports assets specifically, online EGL by in-house expertise, which is the Helix component. What should the array look like? How many consoles? How many game stations? How many virtual racers? The GG circuit, the software that runs that, which has all the gaming on it, and that sets up all the brackets and how you run the software. And then, of course, the last piece of the puzzle that they're all waiting to see is LandDuel. We are going to be launching that in a casino in Atlantic City, on or shortly after Memorial. It won't be on Memorial Day, it'll be after Memorial Day. And once that, and that will be observed closely by most of the big casino brands, if not all the big casino brands. And once we have the results in from that, we do expect to be announcing several of these relationships with the casinos.
Great. And the New Jersey gaming license application, any meaningful updates on that? And second part, does the Bally's partnership become active once the New Jersey license is approved?
Well, the Bally's contract, the Skins contract, it has its own criteria for when it becomes active. In terms of the site going live, clearly that's specifically in the hands of the commission. What I can tell you is the regs for esports is advancing quickly. I've been on a panel discussion with the governor, the head of gaming enforcement. Top to bottom, the entire state of New Jersey has really got in behind developing esports. There'll be an esports innovation center working with the development, New Jersey Economic Development, in conjunction with the DGE and the university. members of the governor's team. So it's a big push for us personally. We're just down to testing the software. So we expect that process can take anywhere from 4 weeks to 4 months. It's out of our control. It depends on the questions that of course the regulators come back with and our response to those questions, or if they find there's something they want us to change, how quickly can we change it? We expect to be live end of May, early June. We had hoped to be live in April, but it doesn't look realistic at this point in time.
All right. Now we'll wrap it up with one last one, a short question from the audience. Any more offerings coming up?
Not immediately. You mean offerings of selling stock? Not immediately.
That's my assumption of the question. Yes.
Yeah. Not. We will. As I said, I'm going to be opportunistic when we do this. If I feel the stock is undervalued, no. If I feel we're being shorted, no. We don't need to. We have cash in bank. I don't need to make an acquisition. Will we? Yes. When the conditions are right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Grant, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for helping us get a better understanding of the company's story. For the audience, if you'd like to get the independent research that Michael Kupinski, our senior research analyst, has written on Esports Entertainment Group, go to channelchek.com, type the company name or the ticker in the search box, top left corner of the site, company data section. Grant, once again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to present our company.
Thank you for joining us for this virtual roadshow presentation brought to you by ChannelChek. View our YouTube channel for more video content, including C-suite interviews, virtual roadshows, and conference presentation replays. New content is added regularly, so subscribe below to stay up to date. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on this and 6,000 other small and microcap companies.